Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to see all of you. It's my first time at Retail Insiders. I'm a first timer, so thank you. Yes, I am Danielle Rendini. I joined American Girl almost 6 years ago, so I am a retailer that decided to join a new retailer in 2020 when the organization would not let me travel to those stores, so that was fun. And I was only supposed to be there 4 months as a consultant, and somehow I am still there. And you mentioned I've worked for many different retailers in the past, and have also worked as a consultant for many retailers. So joining American Girl was an amazing opportunity to really join an organization that's known for its retail experience and was really a pioneer in retail experience, but really help modernize those experiences to make them relevant for today's consumers, since it has been 40 years since the brand started. Just really quickly, by a show of hands, it'll help me. How many of you are familiar with American Girl? Okay, most, wonderful. And how many of you have purchased something from American Girl? Oh, amazing. And of those, how many of you have been to one of our stores? Wonderful, okay. So I'm gonna just give a little bit of context for those that aren't familiar or haven't been to one of our stores. So yes, we were founded 40 years ago in 1986. We're celebrating our 40th anniversary this year, which has been really fun. We have a lot of fun products, collaborations, events all throughout the year. Don't know how we're gonna comp it next year, which is what I'm most concerned about, but it's been really fun this year. And we were founded by a woman named Pleasant Rowland. She was an educator and a writer, and she was really inspired during a trip to Colonial Williamsburg and came up with this idea of telling stories through girls and creating characters that girls could see themselves in. Because when she was looking at different books that told stories in other points of history, it was always almost through boys all of the time. And she created 3 characters that their stories took place during pivotal points in American history, and created dolls, a series of books for each one of them, a ton of accessories, and sent out 500,000 catalogs in September of 1986, and then had to figure out how to send out, I think, $1.7 million in sales between September and December of that year in 1986 dollars, which is pretty amazing. And so we really focus on inspiring girls to really be courageous, confident, and really develop strength of character. That's really what we're all about. Yes, we welcome everyone, but I will say girls a lot because it's mostly girls, and I'll say mom a lot and grandma a lot because it's mostly mom and grandma. But I want to show you what we are now, and I think a sizzle could do it better than I could ever say. So if you had a late night last night, good morning.
I'ma work it out, I'ma show you how I get it done. Proud, proud to be the me that I become. Ooh yeah, ooh yeah. Once I started, I can't stop. I'm gonna give it all I got. I'ma do it right now. I'm about to show you, yes I can. Yes I can. Yes I can. Yes I can. If you're looking at me right now, I'm about to show you, yes I can. Yes I can. Yes I can. Yes I can. If you're looking at me right now, I'm about to show you, yes I can. Yes I can. Yes I can.
Okay, like I said, good morning. It really makes me so proud to see some of those store clips in there because the stores did not look like that 6 years ago. When I joined along with some other new senior team members, we really came in to not really turn around the brand, but more revitalize it. And that was across the product, the marketing, and definitely the in-store experience. So this is really what we look like today. And we've been doing a lot of updates. We've built 2 new stores in the last couple of years. We've been renovating. And so part of that also is the experience, really. Because ideally, if you took the product out of the space, in my opinion, you should still know what the brand is. And I think very few stores, if you took the product out of the space, would you be able to name what the store is? Think about that the next time you're shopping. Anyway, but today, what I'd like to do is share some of the things we've been working on and some of our experiences and kind of what my approach has been and where we've seen a lot of success. So, we have 7 stores, so not a ton. Some of them are huge, 50,000 square feet, and they're highly experiential. So in addition to looking and amazing and being a destination, they all have a restaurant, full service, including a liquor license, FYI. They all have a salon. We throw a lot of parties. We're very much a destination for birthdays, whether just coming to the store is your birthday present, or you're having a party just at the little foretop in the dining room, or you're having a huge blowout private party. The Style by You experience is a new experience on the sales floor, which I'm gonna talk about a little bit later. We do tons of events, so we do tons of paid events, whether they're holiday themed or tied to different product launches or celebrating different products and sub-brands that we have. And we really try to make very immersive spaces to tell all of these stories, and we have personal shopping and things like that. Our stores are very much a destination. Over half of our guests travel over 200 miles to a store. Part of that, again, is we only have 7 right now, but part of it is that it really is thought of as a really milestone memory for people, and especially being 40 years old now, you know, it's an experience that a mom had, and she's really looking forward to, okay, do I think she's old enough now, because I really want to have this experience with my daughter or my niece or whoever. And so it's very much also a multi-generational shopping experience. So to talk a little about experience, we, as I mentioned, have a restaurant in all of our stores. And this is an area where we've made a lot of changes over the last couple of years. So for those that raised your hand that you've been, depending on how recent that was, this may look a little bit different or not. But this was always part of the vision. So also when Pleasant thought about the first store over 20 years ago, she wrote this amazing sort of essay about a day to remember. And she wrote about herself as a little girl, going to downtown Chicago to see the symphony with her mom and walking hand in hand down the street, and the smell of the cinnamon buns at lunch. And it's just this amazing, she's an amazing writer. And so we really we take that to heart, and we take that original experience that she had created, and we continue to build and evolve it for today's consumer today. And what's so key about this is it's really integrated with the product. So our experiences, like the restaurant and the salon, they really exist to drive product sales. And we know that we do because we have all the data. So we know if someone comes to a store, even if they never come back ever again, they spend more in their lifetime and they stay in the brand longer with us because they had that hopefully amazing experience. No pressure on me and on our store teams. We also know if they participate in one of these experiences, they spend even more on products. So that delta is not just what they spent on the service, but we can see that they actually spend even more on products. So it's really all tied to the product. So for example, we have chairs, we call them treat seats for the dolls. They clip right onto the table. So you're really dining next to your doll. You can buy them for sale as well. We set the table for the dolls too. So we don't just set the table for humans. There's a little cup and saucer that goes in front of the dolls. The servers interact not just with the people at the table, but with the dolls. It's extremely, extremely intentional. And so that's why I often get frustrated sometimes when retailers are like, we're experiential, we're putting a coffee shop in the store. And I'm like, don't do that, because it's really not an experience, and it has nothing to do with anything that your brand has anything to do with. So it's very, very intentional. But we've also done behind the scenes a lot of operational changes in this space, because even though it exists to drive product sales, it needs to be profitable on its own. At least that's what my new direction has been. There were a lot of things done in the past that it was like, well, it drives traffic and this and that, but it was maybe we were doing things that were losing a ton of money. And we're not a passion project. We are a for-profit business. We are part of Mattel, which is a huge global business. So it also needs to be profitable, which is not easy. The restaurant business is not easy, but I've worked in it before, and there are ways to definitely improve your margins there. So we've made a lot of changes behind the scenes in terms of the formats, the hours of operation, the menus. We brought back tea. I mean, anyone that meets me and goes, oh my God, they'd start talking about when they went to American Girl 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Everyone talks about tea time. When I walked in the door, it was being treated like a loss leader in the afternoon. So we brought it back, we really elevated it, and we charge accordingly. So there's a lot of operational changes. I mentioned parties earlier. We have private party rooms within the dining rooms. And when I first joined, I saw that, wow, this is so great. Just because you can close a door, you can give the guests the exact same experience, but we're charging them more. Well, that's great when there's a party. It's not so great when there's no party in there. Now I'm just paying rent on a space, right? So now we design it so that actually the wall is retractable, and if there is no party, it's just part of the dining room, right? So we're doing a lot of operational things behind the scenes to really drive efficiency and profitability. But it's such an amazing memory-making experience that people talk about forever. And then the salon, all of our stores have a doll salon. It's really adorable if you've never seen it. There, yes, are little tiny salon chairs that they sit in for their services. And we're able to do this. You saw in the sizzle, we have really high quality product. I'm not talking about product today, so I won't go into the details, but the dolls, those are actually wig caps. They're not like rooted hair that you would see on most dolls that maybe you played with or your kids have. So that's why we're able to do it. If you did it with rooted hair, you just keep losing all the hair. So we're able to brush out the hair and do all these hairstyles and things like that. So we do that. We do manicures for the dolls. We do ear piercing for the dolls. Ears piercing is not in front of the guests. So we tell our young guests to tell them to be, good luck, and then we bring it back and say she was really brave. And we've been adding girls' salon. It's a drill. We've been adding girls' salon. So now 4 of the stores have that, and it's really an amazing experience. They really want to match. It's kind of incredible to see, and it's really unique and ownable. So they get matching hairstyles, matching manicures, and we actually do girl ear piercing too, as if there wasn't enough complicated businesses going on under one roof. We also do girl ear piercing, which is so special. It's such a rite of passage for young girls. So we've also been making a lot of updates here in terms of the services, the styles, the prices, and again, this is such a great experience because it's very interactive. They're not just doing the doll's hair. The girl is typically kind of like this girl here, standing at the counter, and they're interacting with her, and they're using it as an opportunity to teach her how to take care of her doll. And so we're teaching them, like, we only use water, we cover the eyes, we only use this brush that you must buy if you're not buying it today. So it's very, very integrated, again, to the product, which is why it works so well, and it's really, really interactive, and the kids love it. Okay, so we're going to talk a couple other things we've been really focused on. So in terms of driving basket and conversion, as I joined and I saw I had to fix a lot of things in the middle of the P&L, one of the things you really have to do as an operator is think about, okay, how can we drive the top line so I get a little bit of runway while I try to fix all of these things. One was definitely in the merchandising in the stores. If you're familiar or you saw in the sizzle, we have historical characters. We also have contemporary characters that are characters with a backstory. They are in current time. And then we have these Truly Me dolls that are not a character, they don't have a backstory, but they are that 18-inch size that we're sort of known for. And there were a lot of guardrails and restrictions on the teams and the merchandising where, okay, you can't have this doll with that doll, and you can't have that dog with this doll, and all these things. And the reality is not how kids play, and it's not how people shop. You know, no kid is gonna be like, my 1970s doll can't play with my 1940s doll, right? So we still are very true to those stories and tell all those individual stories in the store, but then we also layer in great merchandising when we're mixing all those things together into stories that make sense for the consumer, whether it's a Valentine's story or a holiday story or whatever it can be. And so that's where some of my prior experience was really helpful. We also have been really focused on selling and service, and this is also where my background in luxury has really brought sort of a different POV to the business. So the prior sort of direction here was, be nice to people and the sales will come, and that is nice. It was mentioned I worked for H&M in the past. We were just trying to get people to say hello when you walked in the door. So it is really nice to walk into an organization where people are nice and they're happy to be there, and it truly is the most joyful place to work. Like, how could it not be? But they really were not taking it to the next level, and I was walking in going, this doll is $135, accessories sold separately. Like, that is premium, that is luxury. So we really have to employ some of the great tactics at some of the luxury brands and do it in a way that makes sense. And then you also kind of have the kid element, so you're like talking to a customer here and a customer there and all that. So we completely revamped all of our selling and service training. It's not that unique. It's what a lot of other brands do really well. We have an acronym for the steps of service, just like how a lot of others do, but we even changed what some of the letters stand for in the acronym to really make everything more proactive and engaging, because I was really observing that when I walked in, it was much more reactive, and the associate was more in the passenger seat, and we really want to put them in the driver's seat. We also created what we now call the unboxing ceremony. So what's so cool about our stores is that we get very little returns, and the guest is often opening up all the product in the store, because then they're taking her to the salon or they're taking her to the restaurant. And I noticed that some were just kind of opening it for the guests, and others were sort of doing a little bit of theater around it. So we actually created what we now call the unboxing ceremony. And the way that we train the teams on it is we start with, okay, so what's a ceremony that you've been to in your life, right? And so obviously people talk about weddings, graduations, all these amazing things, and that helps set the stage for them to understand this is a really important moment. She's meeting basically her best friend now. So we put a lot of theater and drama around opening that box and introducing them. And we've really done a lot more. They had some personal shoppers in the largest stores, but we do a lot more clienteling now, and we have, shop by appointment available in all of our stores. Loyalty, nothing super unique. We've had a loyalty program for a really long time. However, last year we did a big update to our program and a replatforming, so we also used that opportunity to make sure that we were driving more experiential benefits, not just points. So in addition to being able to use your points kind of right away, and that changed rather than waiting for certificates like we were doing before, we do a lot of in-store perks for our loyalty members. We give them early access to reservations. We're very reservation-based, which is great. As an operator, you really know what's coming to you, and people book either 90 or 120 days out is when we put things on sale, depending on what it is. And it's sort of that mom mindset, like, okay, I got through spring break, what are we doing for summer, right? I got through the birthday, what are we doing for the holidays? So she is planning pretty far out. We've also started doing private shopping events. So this was something that the team was just doing during the holidays and saw huge success with. So now we do it quarterly, and we time it around a new product release. And it really makes the guests feel really special and important, that they get to be the first to have a chance to buy something. And the ROI on this is huge. Like really, having these little treats and doing a giveaway and having gift bags, when you see what they're spending, it's well worth the investment. And we do now very little to no promotions in the store. So we do promotions. So if you shop online, I'm letting you know, yes, we do promotions sometimes, but we've basically taken it all away at the store level. Of course, we don't, if someone shows us something on their phone, we empower the teams to give it to them. It's not worth upsetting the guest or ruining that relationship, but there's no reason for a random item to be 20% off today when I planned this visit 3 months ago. It's her 5th birthday today. We're coming today. We're buying all this stuff today. There's no reason for me to give people a deal on that. We're all about the experience. Okay, this one is really fun. So I felt very overwhelmed when I was new walking in. I don't know, for those that have been to a store as a first-time guest, you're like, whoa, where do I start? What do I do? I was just like, this is so many more SKUs than I thought. So we created something 2 years ago called Styled by You, using all existing product already in the line and kind of retrofitting it into the stores. So basically, it's kind of a 1 through 5 step process. You pick a doll from our Truly Me dolls, you pick an outfit, you pick 2 accessories or a pet, you get the carrying case, which is the best marketing ever. If you see the girls walking down the street with the doll and the little backpack. We do the unboxing with them. They do a little craft where they kind of talk about styling their doll and put a little tag on the bag. And people spend so 60% of the people that do this are new, so check. People spend 2.5 times more than what they spend at retail, of our average AOV. And they spend 40% more than the ticket price. So it was a really great blueprint for those store teams as we were trying to really up-level their service. It's making them feel really confident and like, okay, I got this, because it's giving them the 1 through 5 steps, and then it's making it more natural for them to say, oh, I noticed you're wearing glasses. Should your doll have glasses? Oh, your ears are pierced. Should her ears get pierced? Oh, your favorite color is purple. There isn't a purple outfit in there, but I'll show you this other one. We are also working on format and footprint. So I mentioned earlier that in the last couple of years, we moved our flagships in LA and in Dallas and built new stores there. They are both about 15,000 square feet, where previously we would have thought that needed to be 40,000 square feet. So that's a huge change in terms of really eliminating a lot of non-productive space, making the space very efficient. And then the restaurant and salon spaces are really capacity businesses, and it's all a math exercise in terms of how many seats we need and how many times we need them to turn. But this year, we moved our store in DC in Tyson's Corner, was in a 22,000 square foot store, and we're testing out for the first time a 5,000 square foot store. So for most specialty retailers, 5,000 square feet is a lot of space. For us, this is like mini. And it has Style by You, it has the salon, it has the full assortment of product, it all fits. It just doesn't have the restaurant, and that's what we're testing right now, because even with 15,000 square feet, for me to say, okay, I need 15,000 square feet and I need to be able to vent out and build a restaurant, that really limits my options when I go into different markets. So we're starting to see really exciting data from this test. The store has the largest increase in AOV of the fleet for the year, double-digit percentages, because honestly, I think it makes it so much easier for the guests to understand the assortment. It's easier for the store team. It's easier for the managers because they can actually see everyone and they can see if they're delivering the experience or not. I've got a few more. We're almost there. This one might be my favorite. We actually have a very long dwell time. People stay in our store a couple hours if they're doing the whole shebang. But I was seeing in our New York store in particular, you know, the whole family comes in, and then often the dad and the brother peel off and disappear. And then they come back with a bag of another retailer that is not Mattel owned, so I won't say the name. And that was really annoying to me because we are part of Mattel. We have a lot of other things at our disposal. But how can we make it feel right and not feel like the Mojo Doja Casa house if you watched the Barbie movie, right? So we have some extra space in that store. We had this kind of weird, awkward space, but it's right outside of our cafe where often the full family is dining. So this past year, we built the Hot Wheels pit stop at American Girl. So if you are in New York, please come see it. Now, it's very small. It's really product. There's no experience, like the cafe is all pink. So we can't retrofit it into that. We'd like to do more things here. We're seeing amazing results out of this. It's intentionally assorted with all the higher price points, so you can't get the $1.50 singles that you get in the Target aisle or anything like that. You're getting, any of the singles are more of the collector, and then there's the Mattel Brick Shop, which is kind of a new newer product line for us, and it just looks amazing, and people absolutely love it. I think the dads love it even more than the brothers. They're in there hanging out a lot. There's cars flying because everything's open on display to play with. I have a 7-year-old boy, so it's just like my playroom at home, basically. There's just tracks and cars flying everywhere. So this has really helped people stay in the store altogether, and they're just spending more. It's not taking away from their share of wallet that they would be spending on American Girl. And our 40th. So yes, we're so excited to celebrate our 40th. There's been a lot of fun product that we've launched or re-released, brought out of the archives this year. And we've really made that come to life in the stores as well. So we have a lot of 40th themes events. Some of the things on the top are from different crafts and games. That's a poster, that's a giveaway on the top right. And then obviously you can see, we have really installed graphics and things across all the stores. So we're really kind of celebrating our 40th in the stores, which has been so fun. It really is such an interesting moment for the brand, and seeing that multi-generational shopper coming in and introducing it to the younger members of their family. So that's all I got, and I think we can take a couple questions.
All right. Great job, Danielle. Questions over there. Andrew, you want to hit him? Yep. I can run, but it's really far away.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
I'm Reem from Locala. The question that I have for you, first of all, happy 40th anniversary.
Thank you so much.
And it seems like your store experience is at the center of everything you're doing. It's pushing sales. You mentioned you have 7 stores at the moment. Do you feel like because you're investing so much on the store experience, the tea, the birthday parties and everything, do you think that expanding your stores is going to be part of your growth strategy for the coming years? Thank you.
Great question. I can't say much about that. What I will say, though, is it is so unique, right? And I don't honestly think this brand could exist without the stores. Obviously, I run the stores, so I'm going to have that opinion. And when I came in, there was really very little marketing being pushed to the stores. I basically was told, hey, you get this one email a month that talks about what's going on in the stores. That's what it was 6 years ago when I walked in. And I said, well, that's not going to work. And so now that one that's specifically about upcoming events, like very action-oriented, is twice a month, but obviously we talk about retail everywhere else in all of our marketing. And stores where we think we have more of an opportunity for traffic, we're doing even more like out of home, and we're trying all different things. And we also did a big research study. It's one of the great things about being part of Mattel. The research at our disposal is pretty amazing. And we talked to a lot of prime prospects, and they didn't know all the experiences that we have in the stores, which was very vindicating for me. And so now that has really changed, and we've put a lot more effort into marketing the stores, and we know that it has a halo for the whole brand. Because like I said earlier, even if someone never comes back, if they've just had that experience once, their average lifetime value is much higher, and they stay in the brand longer too.
And just come more over there, I know, Andrew.
Yeah, great. But your 40th anniversary is way more exciting than my 40th high school reunion last weekend.
Hi, I'm Joe. Congratulations on the transformation. So your American Girl was successful. You joined a successful brand. Today they're doing things that they weren't doing before you joined. Ear piercing, liquor licenses, restaurants, salons. I can't imagine that every time you made a suggestion to leadership that they embraced it with open arms and told you were brilliant. You must have had to make hundreds of presentations to get through some of the things that you've accomplished. Can you talk a little bit about how you convince leadership to take risks? Because a lot of this is very, very risky.
Well, I'm very charismatic, Joe.
We saw that.
No, I think, yes, part of it is that there was a new brand president that then came and found me. So that made things a lot easier. Yes, there are some presentations. Mattel is very much a presentation culture. We are a little bit less so. I am very much not. I would rather just, okay, we're gonna go do. But because the foundation was there, that it was always experiential from the beginning, I think it was a lot easier. That the ideas weren't so out of left field as they would be somewhere else. I think. Well, they had liquor licenses, actually. They did. But as an example, when I walked in, and we had Fred's at Barney's. It's just like martinis and French fries, and just, yeah, I'm gonna buy that $10,000 necklace now, right? So. It was amazing, right? And so obviously maybe we're not going to sell as much liquor here, but I walked in and the wine list wasn't on the table, right? And the team said, well, we're for kids. I said, let's just try it. And that's kind of the culture I'm trying to build, was like, just try it. If it doesn't work, then we won't do it. I don't think it's going to get out of hand and crazy. Put it on the table and let's see if anything bad happens. If anything, I think after this whole experience and spending this amount of money, Mama wants a cocktail when she sits down, right? So we had 0 issues, right? Also, similarly, anytime you come to our restaurants, there is at least one table of adults with no children in the restaurant because it's so nostalgic. We're really benefiting from the nostalgia right now, and the world is just so crazy. Women just want to call their mom and have her send the doll and meet up with her girlfriends at our restaurant. And in the beginning, the team was very nervous about that because it was not what the experience was initially designed for. But we really haven't had any issues. We haven't had anyone get really out of control. I think maybe once we stopped serving someone. And if anything, if you as a mom or a dad are sitting next to a table of that, isn't that going to reinforce your purchase so much more? Like, wow, look at these young women, they still love this brand. And we constantly see, we have 21st birthday parties, 40th birthday parties, bachelorette parties. We haven't had a wedding yet. Maybe a wedding is next. But yeah, we see that all the time.
Does a 21-year-old doll get a free glass of wine?
So no, and actually Mattel Legal we have a lot of really great assets, as you've seen, and we have great assets of all the drinks, but we're not allowed to show the dolls with the drinks in the assets. No.
Okay.
Also, the other thing that's interesting, because we've tested, and going back to the testing, we've tried like more adult-focused happy hour, things like that. It doesn't really get booked. We're finding that they want to have the original experience.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you, Danielle.
Thank
Give her a round of
you.
applause. Thank you.